Fresh off their bye and fresh into the win column, the Cowboys getting their Monday night victory on the road against the Raiders. Highlighted this one. Dak Prescott, another impressive performance, this time throwing 4 touchdowns in the victory. On the other end, Geno Smith, maybe a lackluster outing, to say the least. 27 of 42, 238 yards, a touchdown, and a pick with 14 rushing yards. But nonetheless, this one was all Dallas. They were the stars of this Monday night show. We're now joined by Dallas sports reporter Garrett Podell. And Garrett, we got to start this conversation probably maybe with the biggest head scratcher, because when we saw this game open up, I didn't see CeeDee Lamb on the field. I didn't see George Pickens in the opening series of the game for Dallas. What happened internally that kept those two off the field, at least to start the game?
Hey, Keiana, great to join you here from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And yeah, that's kind of the still mystery of the night. Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach, offensive play caller, he said it was just a couple things. He didn't elaborate. I spoke also in the locker room with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And when I first asked CeeDee about it, I tried to ask it in a friendly way, saying, you know, you guys didn't start the game on the field, but then you ended up having a good game. Why was that? And he kind of skipped over answering the part about why they weren't on the field. Then when he was point blank asked, well, why weren't on the field to start the game, he said, you know, that's an internal thing. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. George Pickens, same kind of deal. When he was pressed on it, he said, you know, that's between me and Shotty and the team. So a couple things is all we know, but it ended up working out for him because George Pickens, 144 yards receiving and a touchdown. CeeDee chipped in a touchdown, and everyone left the game happy, but still kind of a mystery, Keiana, to be honest with you.
It's definitely a mystery, leaving a lot of people scratching their heads. But one thing I will say, if you're going to keep them off the field in the first series and they go out and have games like that, keep them off the field in the first series for plenty of games going forward. But I think the bigger moment of the game, the Cowboys honoring Marshawn Kneeland during their first game back since his passing. We saw the shirts honoring him. Ryan Flournoy holding up the jersey on the sideline at the end of the game. Can you just take us into the locker room a bit? Just what was that mood like after an emotional last few weeks for Dallas?
Yeah, so the Cowboys told the players, hey, you saw the shot of Marshawn Kneeland's jersey hanging in the locker room as if he was going to be here and play today. And so they were warned or told, hey, we're going to have his jersey hanging in there as if he's going to walk in there with us. And Oso Digizua, defensive tackle, and he was one of the 2 players who spoke at Kneeland's candlelight vigil along with defensive tackle Solomon Thomas to honor his memory. Oso Digizua said, you know, that was really helpful to get that warning ahead from the team so that it wasn't super emotional walking in and seeing his jersey hanging. But, you know, he said they felt like pretty fired up to play for Marshawn Kneeland, and that's exactly how it went. And Ryan Flournoy, who we showed holding his jersey, so he told us earlier in the week that he and his wife regularly went on double dates with Kneeland and his girlfriend, Catalina Mancera. So those two were probably Ryan Flournoy was probably Marshawn Kneeland's closest friend on the team. So it was certainly emotional in the locker room. But Dak Prescott said after the game that it felt really great to get Flournoy his 4th touchdown pass of the game, kind of knowing what this game meant to him.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly an emotional day, but honoring him absolutely with a dominant victory over the Raiders. But just how much can this team take away from this game? You know, fresh off their bye, Dak and this offense having a fantastic night. And then you look at this defense along with Quinnen Williams, who made a very strong debut for the Cowboys. But also you do consider Dallas has a gauntlet ahead and an uphill climb to the postseason.
Absolutely. Yeah. Quinnen Williams, Oso Digizua said, immediately you could feel his presence on the field with this defensive line. And you saw that because the Las Vegas Raiders couldn't really double team Oso Digizua, 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark, and Williams, who had a career high 5 quarterback hits, 1.5 sacks, including a 9-yard solo sack of Geno Smith. And Dak Prescott said about Williams that he's in the facility getting training done, work on his body, just as much as Prescott is. So that means Williams is neck and neck with probably the most diligent person on the team in terms of taking care of their body. And that certainly showed on the field tonight. So I think the Cowboys look ahead. They do have like you said, they have the NFC leading Philadelphia Eagles coming into AT&T Stadium on Sunday. And then on Thursday, they play the defending AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, who even though their record is 5-5, they're obviously a lot more talented than that. And then after that, it's the Detroit Lions up in Detroit on Thursday Night Football. So, but I think this team takes away that, which is what I asked Dak, what can you take away? You beat a 2-win Las Vegas Raiders team. And he said, look, when we play that way, that dominant, we feel like we can dominate and hang with anybody. They're averaging 29 points a game. They're allowing 29 points per game. That's typically not a winning recipe. Only the 2000 St. Louis Rams were the greatest show on turf. Rams made the playoffs when allowing that many points per game. But Dak Prescott says, look, we play like that, we're in control here. So that's the mood in Dallas. They feel like we play like this, we're in control.
Well, they'll certainly be in control if they continue to put up a performance like they did on Monday night against the Raiders. Won't be easy when you got the defending champs coming up, and you mentioned it, Kansas City as well as Detroit. But Garrett, we appreciate you stopping by, and I'm sure you and I will be talking post those games. Thanks so much. Well, Dak now tied with Danny White in 82 and Roger Staubach in 78. With the most passing touchdowns in a Monday night football game in Cowboys history. He had another impressive outing to help Dallas in their 2-game skid, but also marking his 41st game with at least 3 or more touchdown passes. That breaks Cowboys franchise record hold held by our CBS colleague and former Cowboys quarterback, Tony Romo.